So the National Science and Maths quiz was won by St. Augustine's.
That's right.
And Kojo is an old boy. So I know that
Augustine's College.
St. Augustine's College. I know he's going to bore us with how his school is good, and we know that they're good. But we also have to say congratulations to the winners, St. Augustine's. St. Augustine's.
And your Augustines.
Augustines. You know, August. An August occasion it comes from. Yes. So Augustine. It's actually Augustine, but
St. Augustine.
You know, I came here this morning not to speak really. I am happy to give my newspapers to you.
Oh, Mama V.
Yeah.
How are you though?
I'm okay. I don't know why people thought I was against you. I only said date now one week.
Yeah, it's on Twitter.
That's all I said. Yeah. And then I don't know.
Na say angry.
Me see date now one week.
Na say angry.
Oh, yeah, me see her.
I married to then I'll bear me. Then I'll bear. Then I'll bear mama.
And no.
So Newton is the gentleman on the right.
On the
now?
right. Yes.
Okay. And which role does it comes in? The riddle section?
Newton is our super sub. We usually bring him in around round 4.
Yeah, sub. Now why is super sub?
Our super sub.
Super sub. He's not just a sub. People substitute and they come and do nothing. Kwabuche substituted very early in the game and they didn't do anything.
The last time I checked, Kwabuche was not in the finale yesterday. You had to bring them in.
That is a fair point. It's a fair point. Only the best made it to the finale.
Hey.
Yes. And by the way, look, I need to congratulate St. Peter's and Presec. I think they fought hard.
For real?
Oh yes, absolutely. I think they fought hard. I mean, their contestants did a great job, and you know, I mean, at a point it was quite close, but not because Presec is good.
No, Pesco was never close.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about
Presec is good.
Presec and Augusco.
Yeah.
At a point, it was quite close.
Yeah.
Not because Presec is good, but because Augusco made some mistakes. You know, yeah, we made a couple of slips, but we fixed that, and in the end, you know, the quality showed through.
You have Okay, people. Now that we've cleared the congratulations off our way, I know we'll come back again. This is not the last. Let's do the newspapers. Can we, Kojo?
Yeah, so
can I still do the newspapers?
So we start with the publisher.
Why not?
Okay. The publisher has on the front page, this one, I'm not sure we've captured it, so the publisher. So let me quickly do the ones that we've not captured quickly. The publisher, number 1 in police cells, Afoko vomits blood at BNI, rush to hospital. Yeah, that's Afoko.
That's
Gregory Afoko, the one in court, to establish a year.
The one who is not supposed to be in custody, but is.
But is still in custody.
The National Youth Employment Agency to establish cassava factory. Police judges are most corrupt in Ghana, according to a report. And Kumasi Ratri Park in top shape, according to the mayor. Now let's go to the Observer, also not captured here. On the front page, our achievement unbeatable. John Buedo is the General Secretary of the NPP. We also have number 1 in police grapes due for court today. Ropa contempt application against EC boss dismissed. And Akuto says ministry keeping ministers alert. And the story has been sourced to the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia. MPA's fight
so
against...
ministers are alert. That's what they are telling us.
Yes.
Okay.
They are, indeed they are, aren't they?
For
example, the sports minister accompanied the Blasters to Egypt to make sure that they play the game well. Of course, it's the boys that didn't do well, or the stars, but the minister did his work. MPA's fight against illicit fuel activities yield positive results, and those are the stories. So on the back page, though, let's bring you some more sports. Now, the African Cup of Nations is over, so let's focus on other football-related activities. Jody Osei Tutu breaks down.
It's over then.
No, but the blaster, yeah, blaster.
That doesn't make it over.
Jody Osei Tutu breaks down over racial abuse. Okay. English-born Ghanaian. PSG discussed Neymar punishment, and Man United's Maguire Chase very much alive, and he's a star of that would be Leicester City. Yeah, they want more than £75 million for Harry Maguire. Sometimes the way the players cost these days and the way they play, you just can't relate it to their their price.
I think there are some amazing agents in football these days.
Yeah, and I think it's also because the capitalization of the game has grown. That's how come.
Because of the amazing agents. You know, so they do the maths. Okay, they calculate the income that these teams are making from you know, from these players, and they are able to push for deals that sometimes beggar belief. You know,
But the clubs make lots of money. I mean,
oh, they do. That's the reason why they're able to pay these amounts. You know. So some sports agents are making quite a killing. All right then. I have the Daily Guide, the Statesman, and the Ghanaian Times. I'm hoping we've got images of those. I'll start with the Daily Guide. #1 is back, grilled by CID. Also on the front page, sweet vagina woman arrested. Sweet vagina is in quotes.
Why are you looking at me?
I don't know. I guess I just lifted my head
But we
up
always
and-
look at each other. I'm wondering now.
And
Are you okay?
like I don't know.
Is it because of the
Mama V doesn't want
the
to be
vagina?
associated with
I am
vagina.
not your camera.
No, but we always look at you, Mama V.
Okay,
Please
so
read
just,
the headline.
just
for a
to be clear.
recollection.
Mama V does not wish to be
Okay, wait.
associated with
Hang
sweet
on.
vagina.
Fred, can you just remind him what his camera is? It cam 1 or cam 3?
Yeah. Which, are you come 3?
Because you read the thing and you know, like you just looked at me, like, and you were.
Mama V.
Well, you
The
know,
story. We'll read it again.
but
Let's start the Daily
Listen,
Guide.
I appreciate the point you've made. You do not wish to be associated with sweet vagina, so I'll make sure we don't do that. Mama B has nothing to do with sweet vagina. But sweet vagina woman has been arrested.
I thought you'd read that already.
And yeah, I
Yes.
just thought I'd mention that again. Court clears EC officials of contempt. Supreme Court decides Ibrahim's bauxite fate. Picture here of Ibrahim Mahama in a tuxedo. Ghana gets visa free to South Africa. And that's great news, I think.
Yeah, it is. It is. The last time Mama V had to struggle to get visa, so now she can just. Yeah, when she went to South Africa,
You did?
she kept
No,
going,
I-
coming.
No, I did
income.
not.
You did not.
Do you mind if I look at you while we talk about South Africa? Are you okay with that? You don't- you don't mind being
Allah. Boom,
associated
Yazo.
with
Hey!
South Africa. Okay. All right.
Augustine.
You guys are not good.
Saint Augustine.
Lukaku, we're on the back page now, by the way.
Okay, back page of the Daily Guide.
Lukaku bent on Man U exit, apparently. Allardyce snubs Newcastle. And Amuewi Methodist lift Milo Champs League. Also, Black Stars sneak in after AFCON fiasco. Oh, that's not fair. Sneak in.
Not at all.
All right, I'll do the Statesman. And banner headline, Ioko recovers 99.2 million Ghana cedis from criminal institutions, officials, fraud and money laundering. Wow, that's interesting. Let's get some details. Which particular cases yielded 99.2 million Ghana cedis? Also on the front page, movies to watch this weekend. Now, I've had a look at page 11, and the movies to watch this weekend, I think there's some sort of African theme going on. But they're all movies that make Africa look horrible. You know, they point out the conflicts and, you know, the negatives of Africa. But, well, if that's how you feel about it, you can certainly watch 3 movies recommended by the Statesman this morning. Double Track, a clever idea, says Patrick Wa. Find out why in the pages of the Daily Statesman. Right, now the Ghanaian Times is the last one from me. #1 picked up on arrival, that's the banner headline, to face court today. Presidential Pitch Season 2 launched to empower the youth. That's the Business Development Minister. Augusco crowned 2019 NSMQ champions. Yes, and kudos to the Ghanaian Times for capturing this story of national import on their front page. Also, credible evidence needed to inform decision making. That's the Vice President calling.
What is the import?
And,
National.
Ropa case.
What did you say was of national?
Augusco's win at the National Science and Maths quiz.
That's
The
it,
win
right?
by
National import.
the Augusco win or
Yes.
the National Science and Maths quiz.
The Augusco win. I mean, what did Augusco win? The National Science and Maths quiz.
The Ogasco, I don't...
Yes.
Yeah.
Roper case, contempt against EC quashed. And let's flip that over. Let's look at the back. Stars back from Egypt. And there are lots of pictures here of the Stars and the coach. And Professor Peter Chumesi is the one who went to welcome them. You can see pictures of him with the goalkeeper, pictures with the coach, and of course with Asamoah Gyan, who didn't play. Heartbreak for Cote d'Ivoire as Algeria book semis ticket. That's also on the back. And that wraps it up.
Let's do the Daily Graphic newspaper. Front page of the Graphic. Menzgold CEO appears in court today. The Daily Graphic says also National Science Math Quiz. Augustins are champs. 2019 presidential pitch launched will provide funds for young entrepreneurs. Polio resurfaces in Tamale. We did talk about this yesterday. It was captured in the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Center spread use research-based data to drive Africa's development, according to the vice president. And then on the back page of the paper, Algeria set up semis dates with Nigeria. Big Cote d'Ivoire on penalties. Weekend boxing night storms gyms down tomorrow is also another headline there. Let's continue with the Finder newspaper. Front page of the Finder, the fight against corruption. Government scores 60%, but 55% perceives corruption to be on the rise. Presidential pitch season 2 to award entrepreneurs launched. Brichum lodged assault complaints at Legon police station on June 30. Dangote set to open phase 1 of 1.6 million metric tons fertilizer plants. Those are the stories in terms of the headlines on the front page of the Finder. The last paper for me is the Daily Dispatch. Front page, 6-year, one-term presidency will help fight corruption, according to Benefsin. Executive Director of Iyoko gives an overview, also in the pages of the paper today. Goal double track if Parliament is too small, MPs advised. All right, that's it for what's on the front page of the Daily Dispatch newspaper by way of headlines.
One time.
Should we talk about number one?
Sure.
So he's back, but he's in custody. I wonder... his return to Ghana, does that bring depositors any closer to their money?
I think so.
In what way?
Because what we were told was that he was going to Dubai to go and get more money to come and settle the debts or pay customers. So if I want to believe that, yeah, and once he's in Ghana, then I think that they're closer.
Now, you know, it's been over almost a month, actually, since the courts ruled in Dubai that he should be given this money.
By his partners or whoever made the transaction.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's assume that the court order was obeyed and that he's been paid. I mean, did he have to be here in order for the money to go back to the depositors? I mean, in this world of electronic banking and transactions, why would he have to be here?
So
them to get paid.
I'm trying to think around the question and answer it as a Ghanaian. He's CEO, isn't it? Usually businesses, more like one-man business, it has to take the person who owns it, who is the CEO, to be around for things to happen. I'm just thinking.
Well, so I mean, you know depositors, people who put money into Menzgold. When you went for your monthly dividends, did Namwan have to be there for them to get paid?
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah. So
remember that also the workers were also agitating. They also had issues with the workers of Menzgold.
Yeah. I'm talking about the depositors.
Well, for me, this is how I look at it.
No, in terms of should he be physically here?
Yeah, if he's got the money.
Because
did he need to be here in order for them to get paid?
But I'm saying that if the center is not holding, how does the business even run? Remember also that we got hints that his assets would be sold. I mean, I'm just thinking everything
his
is
assets
so
were seized. We didn't get a hint that they would be sold.
Oh,
they were frozen.
There was after the freeze,
yes,
there was that his assets would be sold. Yeah, something like that. I'm going to look into but I remember something like that.
Okay, I actually remember us talking about whether or not they can sell those assets, and I think we got clarification from Yoko that they've frozen the assets as part of an investigation. But they can't. There is no.
I'm going to go back and.
But let's clarify.
Well, before you come in, this is how I look at it. I think that on the financial side, and whether customers who are aggrieved, knowing that their money is with Menzgold, would be paid or should be paid without his presence financially, and with technology that is now very much available in the world, and even in Ghana, he doesn't need to appear here in Ghana. And so that clarifies it. Yeah. Two, he has been at the center of all these. His reputation has been battered over time. And in order for him, being a young person, to move on and create that needed reputation and how credible he is going forward, even moving on after Menzgold, I think he needed to make some sort of statement to say that I'm back in the motherland. Mm-hmm. I'm here to make sure that I give the credence and also the confidence to my customers who are aggrieved that I'm not running away. Yeah. I've come here to make sure that I sort everything.
Has Menzgold issued a statement?
They have not issued
anything at all?
Incidentally. But we've had some Facebook post by the PRO who speaks for them, Niyama. So he's made certain statement, but not officially on behalf of the company. And we also have to take note. There's it's still quite fluid as to whether the company was closed down or it's under. Yes. So
that was the next thing I was.
So we have to put that into some measurable consideration, because the foremost agency that's supposed to be responsible for supervising what he was doing was the Securities Exchange Commission. Before then, there was a back and forth. Yeah. But now it's being clarified that this was the business in which he was in, for which he didn't have the right approval or permit to undertake.
But the regulators took a specific action.
Exactly.
What they did was they wrote to Menzgold and said, stop taking deposits.
But continue to...
They didn't say but continue.
They said
stop taking deposits.
But pay your customer.
Yes.
Their interest.
So at what point was Menzgold shut down? And by who? You know, I've noticed that many media houses are reporting that it's the defunct Menzgold, erstwhile Menzgold, no longer, in operation Menzgold and so forth. But the only action that the regulator took was they wrote to Menzgold and said, stop taking deposits, stop taking new customers. You don't have a license to do that, so stop doing it. But continue paying those whose money you've taken. So the question then follows, who closed down the offices of... Is it closed down? Is the business shut down? Or is it because they shut down their offices? That doesn't make a business cease to exist.
No, not by going through the processes of law, by the registration processes, if you want to put the company into liquidation, into receivership, etc. Not in that sense. But the action in themselves also gives a certain indication as to whether officialdom wants a company to keep operating within the structures and the way they were operating. I'm not sure any media house in Ghana has constantly given the information out there that the Registrar General's Department, based on the actions taken by the Securities and Exchange Commission, has liquidated or closed down. Because in order for them to do all that, the Attorney General's Department can't do that, and the directors of the company themselves, based on what the regulations are, could also take that action.
It's an important distinction you're making, Now, oh boy. Yoko recovers 99.2 million Ghana cedis. The Daily Statesman is reporting this. Now, every time I hear about money being recovered, I mean, I get very excited because we're a poor country. We need all the money we can get. But I also want to know what it's used for, where that money goes, what it's used for. So this one is saying that Yoko says they've recovered as much as 99,165,369 Ghana cedis and 29 pesos, being proceeds of crime between 2014 and March 2019. Now, I'm trying to find the detail, whether it tells which cases. the money was retrieved from. But it says here most of the cases were centered on prohibited cyber activity. Oh, okay. Yeah. 1,855 cases between 2014 and 2019. Defrauding by false pretenses, money laundering, prohibited cyber activities, bank fraud, payroll fraud, and human trafficking. Okay. Romance scams, Sakawa, basically. Yoko has been investigating a lot of Sakawa. So, yeah. Basically, this report says that that is the biggest source of this money that was returned. Sakawa money. Can you imagine? 99.2 million cities. Most of it Sakawa.
And I'm wondering, why is it not the Financial Intelligence Center, or what do they call it? That's one.
FIC?
FIC. Is this Financial Intelligence Center?
Yeah, aren't they more to do with financial institutions? Banks and so forth.
Yes, but also the transactions that that go through them. So I'm thinking, because I mean, whether it's Sakawa or internet fraud or whatever it is, they receive the whatever it is that it's credited to the account here, and that's what.
So perhaps Yoko works with them, but Yoko is talking about how much money has been retrieved. So yes, FIC might be the organization that tracks it and says, well, this money went from here to here and so forth. But if it's an Yoko case, then they would be the ones that would retrieve the money at the end of it. So a good job, Yoko. We're hoping that you can do even more of this. But where's the money? What is it used for? How does Ghana benefit from this this money when we retrieve it? We would love that information as well.
Well, the local currency recorded its worst half-year performance since 2015. And according to data from the Bank of Ghana's interbank exchange markets, as of June this year, the cedi had depreciated by some 8.2%. The worst since we had a recorded depreciation of 26.2 back in 2015. But we also have to say that we've had the depreciation of the cedi being slowed over the last couple of months. And that, in my estimation, I think should be a good thing that is being done by the Bank of Ghana, the Finance Ministry, and the various other institutions that make sure that we have the right sort of regulation and the stability of the cedi. But the cedi is an important component in us doing trading internally. But also the dollar becomes more important because we have to mop up enough to be able to get the amount that we may have borrowed, whether it's in dollars or whatever it is that we have to do. If the depreciation continues in such a way that is detrimental to trade and commerce, to those who tend to do exports, those who tend to do imports, then that becomes a concern. So far, we haven't seen the efforts that should be made based on the rhetoric and the mantra that we have our politicians keep saying, especially government has said, that we need to improve on the manufacturing base of the economy and subsequently improve the so-called fundamentals of the structure that we have. And we need to make sure that we improve on that. It looks like we're not doing that. The volumes of trade in relation to exports and imports are not improving at the rate at which that we want it to be. We're still basically a retail country, selling goods manufactured elsewhere. That will take a lot of cedis for us to mop up, to get that dollars to undertake that trade. That should be a concern for all of us. And whether the cedi is doing well or is not doing well, is depreciating at a slower pace compared to a certain year or not, we're still not getting it right.
One of the things that we do as a country that really, I've got to say, it beggars belief is how we deal with multinationals and the amount of space we give them to repatriate their profits. I mean, so in the end, what is the benefit if you bring in multinationals to come and set up big businesses here in Ghana? You give them tax incentives. Incentives is the wrong word. You give them tax waivers So you exempt them from paying taxes, some taxes. You then allow them to take their money out of the economy. So what are you gaining as a country? The service that they provide, people will pay for it.
In the medium to long term, you gain actually.
Jobs, is that it? Is that all you get? Well, depending on the company, they might not be employing that many people. Tallow, I mean, how many people does Tallow employ in the grand scheme of things? I'm sure they have a large workforce, but in the grand scheme of things, you know, how many people are they employing? Whichever multinational you point to, whether it's Barclays, Vodafone, whatever, you know, you have to ask yourself, when these companies come along and they are allowed to take all of their profits out, our law allows them to do this. Okay, that's why they come. And then we also give them tax waivers on top. So what is the net effect? This is something I learned from Professor Sir Paul Collier. He's an Oxford professor. He's also a consultant at the World Bank. Very knowledgeable man. And in a conversation with him, I was honored to be invited to a lunch where he was the guest of honor. And in a conversation with him, he said, economics is not that complicated. If you want to understand whether your country is doing well or not, just think of the word net. What is the net effect of everything you do? Okay, so if you bring in multinationals, what is the net effect to your country? Is it a gain or a loss?
Yeah.
If it's a loss, stop doing it. So if you give them tax waivers and then they come in and they set up and then you allow them to repatriate their profits and then all you get is whatever service they provide, which people will pay for privately anyway, and then whatever people they will employ. What is the net benefit of that multinational in your country?
You know, the Chinese currently have all these policy initiatives of interconnecting the continents that we have around the world in the
Silk and
the Belt and Road Initiative.
Road, yes.
Okay. At the end of the day, they started from somewhere. They closed their curtains, invited the Europeans and those from the US to come and be part to build their country by making sure they move their businesses because they have cheap source of labor, etc. But the Communist Party did one thing. They made sure that when you come in, there's a certain component, just like we have in the GIPC law, that you have a certain component of a shareholding of a local partner. But then there is the proper phrase that we use, a technology transfer that is done.
Yeah.
That's how come that we have Huawei and all those people currently becoming big forces in the world today.
Yeah.
Because they meant that phrase, technology transfer or technological transfer.
Yeah.
You know, within the period, over the last 20 years, we've implemented trade policies like having the free zones enclave, and it's all around. What they do is, there's a certain component that's supposed, a smaller component of what it's manufactured or what the output is, that's supposed to be sold here or consumed locally, but the bulk of it goes out. Now, two, what do we leave behind to our people? And here your point comes in about local content.
Yeah.
At what point are they able to transfer the technology to us? So if it's cocoa, for example, and you have other companies that are doing in the free zones area, what do they leave behind for us? Do we have even a certain venture capital fund that is available for a local entity or entrepreneur to also come and source and do such an initiative when the free zone period is over for that company? And so far, we have failed in that direction.
Exactly.
So we still have our raw cocoa beans, just like in other sectors, no value added, and that's what we have.
Yeah.
We manufacture nothing, we do nothing. Because the personnel that they employ usually are casual laborers who do not have the right sort of
We don't
skill.
manufacture nothing.
Nothing.
We manufacture some, not enough, woefully inadequate. But there are
What do we
organizations who
manufacture?
are manufacturing things from within
Even
Ghana.
shoes.
I can easily, and unless you're talking about governments set up institutions, I'm talking about their private sector.
I'm talking about private, but
there are private people who are doing it. There are private people who are manufacturing the shoes. Well, except that the materials they use would be imported.
yeah,
But
true.
there are people. I mean, there's Casapreco. There are local companies who are manufacturing local products.
Wow.
That's
But
all I'm
if you're
saying.
manufacturing
I'm just
a
saying
product
that
and you are
it is woefully
manufacturing-
inadequate.
If you're manufacturing at a cost that makes you uncompetitive and you are manufacturing at a quality that makes you undesirable, again, what's the net effect?
Yeah.
What's the net effect? You know, and then I think from now on we have to approach every economic conversation with that simple question: what is the net effect? Because sometimes we sit here and talk about how we are net we've got here from our oil money. You know, how much so far? Less than 4 billion from our oil money so far. Oh, so we are now an oil. An oil-producing country, and it affects our GDP in this way, and then we rebase our economy and blah blah blah. But really, what is the net effect of that oil? How much of it is ours? How much of it belongs to someone else? What is the net effect?
Anyway,
there's been a survey carried out by Transparency International on corruption, but we don't have time to go into that. We have to take a breather and bring you sports. It's been a fairy tale run for Madagascar, but it ended sadly yesterday. Well, not sadly. They've done incredibly. People are celebrating them all over. It was 3-0.
Oh.
4 African countries standing now.
That's sad.
It comes down to 4. Details in sports. There's also the Wimbledon finals, and Serena Williams is right into the finals. But there's a big showdown today between Nadal and Federer. Details of that coming up.
Federer is going to cry.
In sport. No way.